You've heard of undercover agents infiltrating dangerous drug cartels. But what about the other way around? What happens when the very people supposed to be enforcing the law are the ones breaking it? That's exactly what happened with one former DEA agent who went from busting drug traffickers to running his criminal empire. A former member of the Drug Enforcement Administration, DEA, an organization responsible for taking down some of the world's most notorious drug syndicates, was leading a double life. For years, this man had been a trusted federal agent, working to bring down dangerous drug cartels across the globe. But as his career progressed, something sinister was happening behind the scenes. Instead of taking down drug dealers, he started operating on the other side of the law. It's a jaw-dropping twist. A former law enforcement officer who once vowed to protect and serve was now deeply involved in illegal drug trafficking. And when Interpol, the international policing organization, caught wind of the operation, a massive investigation was set into motion. The shocking transformation of a DEA agent. Imagine this: the very person entrusted with taking down the world's deadliest criminals, someone who spent years hunting down drug lords and busting cartels, suddenly becomes one of them. It sounds like the plot of a gritty crime thriller, right? But it's not fiction. This is the shocking reality of a former DEA agent who, instead of fighting the drug trade, used his insider knowledge to build his drug empire. He knew how the system worked, how the DEA operated, and how to stay under the radar. And for a while, he did just that, quietly laying the groundwork for what would become an international drug trafficking empire. Small steps with a big impact. It all started small, almost too small to notice at first. For someone with years of experience in law enforcement, it wasn't difficult to figure out the blind spots in the system. With his deep understanding of DEA operations, this former agent knew exactly how to manipulate the system to his advantage. He understood the patterns of law enforcement, the tactics used to track drug smuggling, and most importantly, the loopholes. This knowledge was his secret weapon. Using his position within the DEA, he started gathering sensitive intelligence about international smuggling routes, weaknesses in the legal framework, and vulnerabilities in global law enforcement. What seemed like harmless information to him soon became the foundation of a dangerous criminal operation. His access to high-level information allowed him to quietly lay the foundation for his own underground empire, one that would soon span continents and involve multiple criminal organizations. The transformation, from agent to kingpin. As time went on, this ex-agent didn't stay small-time. The operation he built was no longer just a series of isolated deals. No. He was now orchestrating massive shipments of cocaine, heroin, and methamphetamine across international borders. He had gone from working to dismantle the cartels to becoming the very thing he had once hunted. His operation was massive, global even. He wasn't just dealing with one or two small gangs. His network involved several international crime syndicates. The sophistication of his empire mirrored that of the cartels he had once worked to take down. The same methods he had used to track drug lords were now being used against him. But he had the upper hand. He knew exactly how the game was played. Building an empire. How the ex-agent stayed under the radar. What makes this story so mind-blowing isn't just the fact that a former DEA agent turned to crime. It's how he managed to do it for so long without getting caught. He didn't just rely on brute force or violence. He used his knowledge of law enforcement procedures to stay hidden in plain sight. He set up a well-oiled machine. This wasn't about moving a few kilos of drugs. He was managing large-scale shipments. He understood how to move through the shadows, and for a long time, it worked. He was invisible. The discovery. With years of insider knowledge, he ran an operation that spanned continents, outsmarting everyone in his path. He thought he was untouchable. But as it often happens in stories like these, it only takes one slip for everything to start unraveling. The first whispers of his involvement in the drug trade didn't come from some random tip-off. The man knew the system inside out, and he was careful, maybe even too careful. He covered his tracks so well that for a while, it seemed like he was invincible. But nothing stays hidden forever. Word got out. The first hint of a shocking secret. It all started with a few curious reports that didn't quite add up. There was a pattern of unusually large shipments of drugs moving in and out of key cities, and they all seemed to have the same fingerprint. Professional, it was someone who understood every trick in the book, someone who knew exactly how to stay one step ahead of the law. What made it even worse was the scale of the operation. This wasn't a local drug dealer with a couple of kilos of cocaine. This was a sophisticated international network using state-of-the-art methods to ship drugs across borders. The fact that a former agent was at the helm? Well, that was a nightmare waiting to happen. Interpol takes charge. Once the word spread that this was no ordinary case, Interpol, international law enforcement's watchdog, quickly jumped in. The scale of the operation meant that local agencies, no matter how good, would struggle to bring him down alone. With a criminal this well-versed in law enforcement tactics, they knew it would take a global effort to track him down. This wasn't just about tracking one person anymore. It was about dismantling a well-organized empire. And what followed was nothing short of a high-stakes manhunt that spanned multiple countries and continents. Local law enforcement worked in tandem with international authorities to trace the former agent's every move. The investigation begins. Interpol knew this wasn't going to be easy. With this former DEA agent's deep knowledge of law enforcement procedures, he had taken every precaution to ensure he wouldn't be caught. The operation spanned several years, with agents undercover, using sophisticated surveillance methods and data analysis to track shipments and monitor communications between members of his criminal network. The deeper Interpol dug, the darker the case became. Wiretaps, surveillance footage, and informants helped build a case that would expose the full scale of this former DEA agent's illegal empire. The fall of a rogue agent. Eventually, the law caught up with him. In a dramatic turn of events, Interpol, working with the DEA and local authorities, raided multiple properties tied to the agent's empire. The scope of the operation was staggering. Millions of dollars in drugs, weapons, and cash were seized, and dozens of people were arrested. The fall of this rogue agent marked one of the most shocking betrayals in the history of law enforcement. A man who had once been on the front lines of the fight against drugs was now the mastermind behind an international criminal syndicate. A dark legacy. The aftermath of this case sent ripples through the law enforcement community. How could an agent, trusted to protect the public and fight crime, become a criminal himself? The case was a stark reminder that corruption can infiltrate even the most trusted institutions. This investigation didn't just take down one man, it dismantled an entire criminal network that spanned the globe. The FBI, DEA, and Interpol's coordinated efforts were a testament to the power of international law enforcement collaboration. But while the ex-agent's drug empire was destroyed, the questions remain. How many more insiders are out there? And what does this say about the challenges of rooting out corruption within the very systems meant to protect us? The case is a chilling reminder that even the people we trust the most can have dark secrets. And when they betray that trust, the consequences can be catastrophic. Thanks for watching. Please like the video, press the subscribe button, and also drop your thoughts in the comment section.